Hello, everyone, and welcome to the MyFootballWriter podcast. Freddie isn't here this week, so it's just us three. I don't know what Freddie's doing. He didn't give much detail, but he said he's flying to Istanbul with a net. So we'll leave that. But no, he's busy this week, so it's just myself, Jack Wright, here with Henry Miller and Will Grant as usual. As Freddie always likes to do, I'll fill in his shoes, guys. How we feeling? How we vibing?
It's been, I'm sorry, guys. It's just this week. It's kind of. I had a really good day on Thursday. Went to the cricket, had a really good day out, and then 24 hours later, you get like a bombshell news, and that is that Sara is leaving. I'm a bit sad, and I'm worried about the new season a little bit now, but I do trust the people in charge to get it right. But hey, I'm all good, just about. Henry.
I think it's been sort of like 3 days from hell. I've sort of enjoyed myself a bit, but to have Sara leaving, Norwich playing atrociously, especially defensively against St. Pauli, and the clutch on my car going that will set me back 700 quid is not ideal. So, yeah, the sooner we get past this week and go into next week, hopefully with a bit more optimism and more clarity, I will certainly welcome that.
Yeah, I mean, we'll get into a couple of those issues that we've obviously just mentioned. There is a couple of elephants in the room there, but obviously August is here. It is the month that the season properly starts. Big question to start off. Are we excited?
Of course, I'm excited for the new season. It's kind of crazy, I feel, especially after a major tournament. Just like the change in mood after quite a numbing defeat against obviously Spain, and then obviously it feels like the momentum and the excitement is just like transferred like immediately over to the new season. So I'm worried about the new season a little bit, but I always think that's kind of normal. So very excited to see what we can produce and let the games begin.
Yeah, I think my excitement is sort of 50-50 with trepidation, really. Like in pre-season, Norwich haven't flattered to deceive. So I think I'm a bit cautious there. But on the whole, not just from a Norwich perspective, from an English football perspective, seeing how all the storylines unfold, how all the newly promoted teams perform, for the sake of argument, how Johannes Hoff-Torp gets on in his first season. I think it's going to be such an interesting season, such an enjoyable season, and I cannot wait.
Yeah, I mean, the pre-season itself has been a little bit uninspiring, a little bit kind of all over the place. Obviously, we'll touch on a couple of the games that we haven't mentioned before, but I saw somewhere that in the pre-season before 09-10, I think, we won every match in pre-season and then lost 7-1 to Colchester. So if ever you want proof that you don't really need to read into pre-season that much, then that's your incentive. But like you said, Henry, about the sort of English football generally, obviously the market is warming up ever so slightly. There's a few more transfers from all different places coming through, but there's another one big transfer that we probably need to dissect. Sara, obviously, as we all really knew, was going to leave Norwich this summer. Not been confirmed as we speak this morning, on Sunday morning. It's not been confirmed. He might turn up at the podium and do the speech from Wolf of Wall Street and whip out a Besiktas flag. I don't think that's going to happen. But yeah, Sara obviously signing for Galatasaray for in the region of 20 million euros. Obviously, it's Champions League football for him in comparison to Championship football. Lots of sort of talk about whether we could have maybe got a bigger fee for him. Also, people talking about the fact that we sold Maddison for 26 million. That's 6 years ago. A much bigger fee. Yeah. What are your thoughts? Is this a backward step or is this, the inevitability of where we are as a club?
Yeah, I certainly wouldn't say it's a backward step because we've sort of been expecting it all summer. If it came out of the blue and we were getting the narrative from the media of, no one's actually going to leave Norwich. They're all committed to the project. And then we make it sound like this. And 100% a backward step. But no, obviously Sara is a huge blow. His talent is second to none. But like I've said on multiple podcasts before, we're in the same position with Maddison and got a brilliant replacement in. We're in the same position with Wendia, got a brilliant replacement in. So I do think we'll replace Gabby Sara. Whether that will be this transfer window or not, it probably won't be. But I'm pretty sure we'll be able to replace Gabriel Sara. And another point that I think should be mentioned is that I don't think Gabriel Sara, anyway, had he have stayed for Norwich, would have won our Player of the Season. I've said this on the pod before. I've been really impressed with Borja Sainz. And for me, I think this is the season where he flourishes. He's one of those players who will just grab the game by the scruff of its neck. And he is a bit of a maverick like Emi Buendia was when he was here. So I think we'll need players like that. Thing is with Sara, his ball technique and ball control and just raw ability is without a doubt the best in the club. But is he the sort of player to grab a game by the scruff of its neck and get you over the line? I don't think so. I think there were some games last season where he went missing. So that's why, for me, £20 million is a steal, and we can use that to reinvest in the squad. So I'm from a financial viewpoint, I think I'm really happy with the transfer. But obviously, it does always hurt when you do lose someone as special as Sara.
I can't lie. When I first received the news of Gabby Sara, I said in our group chat, and I immediately thought the fee was a bit too low. Maybe now, in hindsight, I think it's just right. I was certainly of the opinion. Obviously, I don't know how advanced the talks were with Galatasaray on Friday night, so I was hoping maybe we could get some sort of bidding war happen. Ultimately, that hasn't happened. But look, I think the more important thing is that Norwich have sold now, because I feel if it just kept dragging on and on and on, I just think that would be so bad for our current squad, because I feel like there's still so much questions that need to be answered. And I think the Sara departure does affect our season due to the fact that I think I don't think we'll be in and around the playoffs like we expect and hope. I think he's that big, and even during the pre-season games I've watched, he has been so critical to how a front wants to build up, and all of a sudden, like a week before the season, we've got to try and find someone else to replicate his role. So it's going to be very, very difficult for Faruk to find that. And ultimately, he needs time. And I've said, I think, for week one, since the news got announced, I'm more than happy to give Faruk time and a season. For me, the only thing he's got to achieve this season for me is just to bring Norwich back, essentially, really, and just give us faith that in the future we can be a real force to be reckoned with, because I feel like in the last 2 years have been a bit topsy-turvy, had some good spells, had a bit of some poor spells as well. So I'm expecting quite a bumpy season, if I'm honest with you. I know we're going to touch on it later, but I think there's so many questions and holes that need to be filled right now. I said it all pre-season, the left-back situation, the Eder situation now. Yes, Eder again, and we'll touch on that later, of course. But yeah, I just think Gabriel Sara is going to be a huge miss for Norwich. But then again, it gives Napa an opportunity to try and recruit someone and showcase his worth to Norwich, really, because I feel like during the summer, I think Napa's had a really, really good summer. I think he's appointed really good people in terms of half four up, obviously the new women's manager as well, with Floan as well. So I think he's had a really good summer, but I feel like right now, this is his first, I think, kind of pressure point for him to really, really kick on, because right now we've got about a week to go ahead of the new season, and it feels like with the Hoff 4-up situation, he had like loads of time to like execute that. But now Norwich are in need of a replacement and a few more additions as well to try and rejuvenate the squad, because I feel right now we'll be a bit light. I think also now with the Sara departure, I think it puts a bit more pressure on Nunes to step up, and rightly so. I thought Nunes was absolutely sublime from about December onwards last season anyway. So I feel like it's a really, really big hole and miss for Norwich. He gives us so much goals, assists, and just a reliable face from the build-up, really. And I just feel like in opening games of the season, I just feel it might be a bit awkward to watch at times. I don't think we'll be as fluent on the ball, just because we've kind of built up with Sara like throughout the whole pre-season, really, and it's quite worrying. But we just had to give him patience and time, because it's going to be a bumpy road, I feel. But it's definitely a path I want to go down. I want to try and really take in this new vision that Forup and Napa have. So let's see what's going to happen. The sale was needed, but it still hurts. It really does.
Yeah.
Sorry. What I was going to say about Sara as well. Obviously, I'm not comparing him to Jude Bellingham, but in terms of the positions, all throughout the Euros, people were saying, should Bellingham drop back? Should Bellingham stay higher? From what I've seen in pre-season from Torup, I'm just speaking of the game I went to against Northampton. We set up in a 4-3-3, but it was much more of a flat 4-3-3, I'd say. So don't get me wrong, we'd attack and we'd attack well, and we'd be heavily pressing to win the ball back. But it didn't seem to me like there was a clear out-and-out attacking midfielder. Now, for me, I want Gabriel Sara in that role as the number 10. If he does play deeper, is he then going to be less effective? So for him, if he's seeing, well, hold on, the club aren't actually playing with an attacking midfielder, does that justify his move out? From his point of view, does he think, well, don't get me wrong, I like playing here, but this isn't my strongest position. It is behind the just behind the striker. So I'm going to go and hopefully play that in the Champions League.
Yeah, a bit like Barley Mumba, really. He wanted to play. Well, no, he wanted to play left wing back, and Wagner wouldn't play it. So he was just like, right, I'll go somewhere where I'm going to play left wing back. Obviously, a much less fee and a much less impactful player. But no, I get what you mean entirely. I think we've been here before, right? With these big players signing and being sold. I agree with you, Henry, in terms of his impact on games maybe not being huge. I mean, I always think back to seeing that tweet that said Buendia had been sold to Aston Villa, and it hitting me like a train, just because of how statistically poor we were without Buendia, and it was a certainty that we were getting relegated when that transfer went through. But I mean, in terms of Sara himself, was he really going to stay in the Championship after the season he had? It would have taken a lot, and there's lots of fans obviously pointing fingers at the Atanasios, sort of saying, well, if their investment is here and the point is for us to, be able to compete and actually keep our best players, what is the point of them existing? You've also still got to look at the player, like you said, Henry. He clearly just doesn't want to be playing Oxford and Swansea. He wants to be playing Champions League football, and that's a far better and attractive prospect for him. Although I did see last night that Galatasaray lost 5-0 to Besiktas. I don't know if that was a friendly or not, but in any case, from their Twitter, their fans don't look very happy. But I think the main question mark, like you said, Will we replace him? Will we be able to replace him? There's everyone's joking. Oh, we've got Liam Gibbs. That's fine.
Freddie, cough, cough.
I mean,
sorry, Freddie.
Torup has come out and said that he will reinvest after this sale. Do you believe him, or do your Norwich spidey senses tingle when you kind of hear the thought of us actually spending money on a player?
I think this goes back to almost what I was saying about the positional changes. If Torup's committed to playing that 4-3-3, I don't think he'll sign a direct number 10 replacement, which in a way is worrying, because you want Norwich to be able to play that system. And for me now, don't get me wrong, Nunes could do it with good effect, but I think our best player in that position is probably Ashley Barnes. And I think that says all you need to know. So I don't think we'll sign a direct number 10, but I do think we'll sign another central midfielder, someone who could maybe help out both Nunes and Kenny McLean, but more importantly, who is first team ready. I think Liam Gibbs, like I said before, he's the only player who I think Dean Smith got the best out of. I think ever since Smith has left, he's looked a shadow of what he did when he first came into the team. So I think he's poor, and to be honest, could benefit from a loan move away from the club. I think it's still pretty obvious that we're interested in Doyle, and that transfer probably will go through the line, albeit on loan. But yeah, I do think there'll be at least one more incoming, probably on a permanent deal, and probably either in midfield or even up top. I've saw today that again we were linked with Tom Cannon, who obviously we were linked with last season, went to Leicester. Now with Leicester going up, that's probably a good thing because he won't get games in the Premier League. So dropping down a level to Norwich could be not only a sensible transfer for him, but a sensible transfer for the club as well, to get someone in with that experience of fighting for promotion and ultimately getting over the line.
I think Norwich will probably look to bring in, I think probably maybe 2 to 3 new additions with that money. Obviously, we've got very, very big knowledge that Norwich need to obviously sell some players, and that's how we kind of run as a club. So it'd be interesting to see actually how much money goes back into the transfer recruitment, because I'm not too sure it'd be too much money, maybe £5 million max. Like, I don't want to speculate because I have no clue, but I definitely see it being more probably up and coming signings that can do it at first team level. I think that money will probably be used to try and get a midfielder in, as well as an attacking midfielder as well, because I think definitely we are short there. I mean, as Henry highlighted, Ashley Barnes is our kind of only attacking midfielder right now who can kind of play that, and that to me in Forup's system is a bit annoying because I don't think he's the man to work effectively in a very like possession based side, albeit he did have some success at doing so at Burnley. But yeah, I just worry about that. I think we need a bit more intricacy in the attacking midfield role right now. I don't think Buzz is the kind of profile to a lot defensive with like his passing. So definitely need a player of that ilk, as well as striker debate as well. Probably need to get another striker in. I mean, we'll touch on either obviously later, but yeah, that situation just isn't good right now, especially in the striker position. So it's going to be interesting to see how Norwich go about it. I would be shocked also if we try and use the loan market again in one of those roles, because I think there's definitely some really good value there. I'm just got to try and exploit it for sure. But yeah, I think definitely Norwich need to try and buy probably maybe 2 or 3 more players, because I feel like right now, I know you can't read too much into pre-season, but for me, I've only seen about like a couple, maybe 3 or 4 20-minute spells to really get excited about right now. So just want to see a bit of more of a development in the performances. I think it's going to take time. So yeah, it's just going to be I think it's going to be a very long season ahead in terms of us wanting us to try and achieve some short-term results. But look, it's all about patience, and yeah, Napper's got to get those signings right, because obviously Sara's a big hole, but I definitely do see the approach of us probably going to try and like buy multiple players and do it like that.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned about buying players. This week we did actually buy a player for £1.5 million. Yay! Ben, I'm gonna butcher this. Chriseni. All right. He went on loan at Blackburn last season and made a few appearances. Was the part of Villa's youth setup. Will, as someone who's watched a lot of youth games, was he someone that caught your eye? Did you see him play for Villa at all? And do you have any more exciting thoughts on our new left back?
Well, my first thought is that I thought that I don't think he sees Montoya as capable to be a left back cover for the new season. Actually, that's like my most initial thoughts. I don't know about you guys, but there's always constant speculation that Norwich are so poor, and it's so likely that I'm going to buy a player for like £1 million, and then out of nowhere we buy a player for like £1 million. It's just like, how are they doing this? So I think immediately the word I get from that is desperation. I do. I think Fort really wanted a left back of a better quality than Montoya. I think that's how he sees it right now. So that was my first thought. I haven't come across him too much actually. I think in the last few years he's had injury troubles. Obviously, I think he had quite a severe injury actually towards last season as well. Before his Blackburn move, I know he's obviously he had quite some success at Kilmarnock and obviously then Blackburn as well. So very exciting profile by the looks of things, and I don't see him develop into the new season really. But yeah, I was a bit. I think my main reaction is, although I'm sure he's a good player, and by the way, as well, it's quite a substantial contract, isn't it, as well? So we definitely see some potential there with him. So that's good. But my main force is, yeah, I'm a bit gutted for Montoya actually because I feel like he actually did have some really good moments during preseason. But look, Farab and his coaching staff are all the ones with the coaching badges, and I don't have them. So if that's how they want to go and see it, then that's fair enough. But I do think if Montoya was coached right, and I think he has been obviously as well, I think we could have definitely have used him more across the season. But that's how they see it. And yeah, I just got a sense of desperation from Norwich that they wanted to try and get a better left back in to cover Doyle.
Yeah, I think again it's one of those things that you can spin two ways. The first way you could spin it is we spend £1.5 million on a guy who's really young and already has championship experience, which from that perspective is a no-brainer. Like Will said, yes, he has suffered injury problems before, but I think at Blackburn they were impressed with him the short time he was there and the games. And in the games he did play, I think he did catch the eye. So from that perspective, I think it's really a really impressive bit of business. The reason why I say it's not so impressive, if I sort of play devil's advocate, really, is exactly what Will was saying. I think Montoya has given himself a lot of credit in this pre-season. I think he's probably ready to be an understudy at least. And yeah, for him to not even really be getting a look in, I think is very harsh on him. What I will say for Montoya now, he needs a decent loan, probably at a League One club. I think if he stays at Norwich past the transfer window, that will hinder his progression, especially if we sign Doyle as well. So if it does look like that Doyle and Crescenny will be the main two left backs, then yeah, Montoya needs to get out of the club on loan, hopefully have a year where he performs well. Someone like something like Barley Mumba did for Plymouth. Obviously, he went there permanently in the end, but a loan spell like that would really help for Montoya's development. But yeah, I sort of do echo Will's sentiment in the fact that he is very unlucky.
Yeah, I mean, that was going to be my next question. Do we loan out Montoya? But then again, you've both answered that unequivocally. Yes. Will, you gave a thumbs up. Is that a definite from you as well, given this signing?
Yeah, 100%. I know obviously Northampton game was quite a weird one to judge in terms of quality level because I felt like it was both teams' first game backs, if you will. So, but I definitely think during that game he showed his quality to be quite an outlet at that level. I just think generally speaking, I think we'll see so many players probably go out on loan in the next 2 weeks. I think obviously we've seen during the under-21s team has been a bit like littered with high-end academy players that have impressed during the years and have got relatively good stocks. So I'm speaking of Kennebaugh, Finley Welsh, like Thompson, etc., and even Montoya as well. So I think we'll probably see a lot of quite a lot of them go out on loan, and that's really encouraging to hear. It's by no means a disappointment to see a 20-year-old go out on loan to a League One club. You know what I mean? So I think it's really encouraging. But I am a little bit surprised about the lack of youth presence in the first team. A little bit. It feels like he's going to stick with his more experienced heads. Even I don't know if you guys saw yesterday, but there seems to be a bit of apprehension with Hills from far up. So I think he might even go out on loan as well. So you're kind of also left there with maybe 3 or 4 centre halves as well. I don't know the situation either with Jayden Warner. Obviously, he can play both sides of the defence as well. So it's going to be interesting to see who is that 4th choice and a half next season. I think it's a fine balance in that, really, because obviously you want to see your youth players in the first team. Of course you do, but you have to. I think what Napa and Fob are actually very good at is I think they are very astute at weighing up. Hang on, okay, is it worth them being fourth choice and getting about 5 games a season, or actually is it better and we play the long-term game and we try and get these guys on a full season loan where they can really showcase their qualities at a decent level? So I think that's the balancing act. So actually, I wouldn't even be surprised right now if we see like all 4 of them go out on loan, and then if worse comes to worse, we might just bed in like an under 21s player to be fourth choice and just like cover a hole. And also, I think as well that I think he obviously values Sorensen now as a centre half as well. So maybe he's a fourth choice centre back as well. And we've got like no youth presence in the back line. I think time will tell really. So yeah, that's very interesting to see. I think we've gone from thinking, oh yes, we're going to have half a team as youth products to, okay, maybe they need a bit more time to really like develop and hone their skills, and that's absolutely fine. We all see it differently, and as I said earlier, Fob is one like we like all the coaching badges, and I don't. So if that's what they see it, it's annoying, but that's it, I guess.
You say everyone wants to see youth players in the first team, very much specifically you.
Absolutely, yes.
We all do, but very much you. Obviously, you mentioned about players featuring. Obviously, we've had 2 friendlies against German opposition since we last spoke. One against Hoffenheim in Austria, and then obviously the St. Pauli game yesterday at Carrow Road. 1 draw against the bigger opposition, and 1 pretty much spanking against. Well, actually, no. St. Pauli are a Bundesliga team now, aren't they? They did get promoted, so give them credit. They're top flight, and we're not. I don't want any kind of will we look really bad for the start of the season? Is this a bad omen, etc., etc.? Because again, I think it's nonsense in my opinion. Was there any positivity, or perhaps individual performances, or things that you liked, or things that you really didn't like from either of those friendlies?
I'll be honest, I only saw the highlights for the St. Pauli game, but the way Rowe and Sainz got the ball and then just drove at the defence, I think is a really positive sign. More often than not, Norwich have a disease where they think that they can only win football matches by walking it into the back of the net. So hopefully that's been cured by Johannes Hoftorp, and we do actually run at teams and try and just take as many efforts as possible. That's what I want to see, and I think on the whole, it has been encouraging in this pre-season. What hasn't been is defense, like us defensively, and more importantly, which I think is equally as concerning, us from set pieces. I think we've looked really shocking. Obviously, we did have a really good set piece coach who departed and went to Leicester. So now, although we've got Brighton's in, all of their fans were happy to see him go, as we touched on last week. Yeah. So, yeah, for me, those are the concerns, but there are definitely positives to take.
Yeah, I mean, even the short passages of build-up play, we look really, really good and sharp in moments. But the big thing which Norwich have to translate is making a 20-minute period into like a 90-minute display. And I think it's quite handy that Norwich will probably really play slightly weak opposition first in Oxford and Blackburn. Although I feel like there'll probably be an expectation for us to win those games. Blackburn, for one, I think will probably sit like very, very deep, and they probably won't press us as much. So we've got more opportunities to try and create openings for ourselves. And I think that'll probably be a really, really good test for us to go into the Sheffield United games and Coventry games as well. So I think on the ball, we've looked really good at times, albeit it's been a bit clunky, but I think that's expected when you've kind of got Wagner's players right now. So look, I think there's a lot of work to do in the squad makeup of things. But yeah, I mean, as Henry said as well, I think Johnny Rowe is looking really, really sharp right now. Same with Borges Size. They're like two terriers on the flanks right now. They're just so sharp, and it's really, really encouraging to see. Actually, I think also my biggest concern actually is as well as the set pieces which Henry outlined, which is a mega worry, because even during the Hoffenheim game, there was so much spaces in key areas for the opposition to exploit. And it was very, very concerning. obviously that has to get ironed out before the Oxford game, because I feel like Oxford will probably try and see that threat and identify that threat. So we're going to have to sharpen up on that, absolutely. But I think the biggest thing for me is the centre half partnership right now, and the striker positions right now. I think the centre half pairing is worrying, because obviously Cordoba needs, I think, a scan to see the extent of his injury, which is worrying. But then you've also got Grant Hanley, who's been a bit slow on the ball. I think Shea Duffy has actually probably had quite a decent pre-season as well, so maybe I'd be inclined to start him. But I think that centre-half partnership yesterday looked very brittle, and that is very worrying. I don't know what way he's going to go with the centre-half partnership. I think ideally he would have liked to have had Cordoba and Hanley as his main two, but I think he'll probably go for maybe Duffy and, I don't know, it might have to be a Hills, or you just can't have Duffy and Hanley playing together in a 4-up system. But that just ain't going to work. So that's going to be interesting to see. But yeah, there's quite a lot of small details which I'm worried about right now as well. And when you have Gabrielle Sara leaving, I think that probably did shake up the dressing room a little bit. So I don't think we can kind of get too carried away with that poorly result. And obviously, Frot's probably actually had, I reckon, probably everybody about maybe like a couple hours, 3 hours, or even like half a day to try and come up with like a new game plan that suits maybe like Liam Gibbs during the game, obviously, because he was the one that plays like deeper during that game. So look, I don't think there's too much to read into it, but there are some key problems right there, and the striker role right now is a bit annoying as well. I think Sada's only had about 90 minutes during preseason right now as well, so that isn't great. He doesn't want to be here. You've got Kamara, who's more of a makeshift striker there as well. Same with Rowe as well. So like, I don't know how it's going to go. I just think you're probably going to have to risk Sargent for the opening game. But there's so many questions going into the Oxford game. It just feels a bit unsettling right now. So we'll see how it unfolds. But yeah, I'm a bit worried going into the Oxford game for sure. But I'm more thinking long term.
Yeah, I think one of the main critiques of any manager is, he doesn't know his best 11. That's a classic argumentative jibe at any failing manager. Obviously, the St. Pauli game, he was still tinkering with the 11. I mean, it's a great tactical approach for any upcoming team, because they won't know who to expect. But from our perspective, it's also a bit like, do you know what you're going to do? The centre-back partnership, like you said, Will, I think is a really kind of fascinating one, because I think in an ideal world, idealistic fans like us would love to see probably Cordoba and Hills starting as a back two. I think that's your dream against Oxford. But when it's eventually Hanley and Sorensen, which
oh no, it's good. It just screams car crash.
No, but I mean, that's, you've got one ideal partnership and one probably silly, pragmatic, but scarily real partnership. I'm gonna press you both. I want a firm answer. Who is your starting centre-back pairing against Oxford?
Will Henry?
Well, I think ideally, like you were saying, it's either Cordoba and Hills or Cordoba and someone else. I think even if Cordoba is there with Hanley or Duffy, that is fine, because he's the guy we spent the big bucks on to get through the door. So he needs to play regardless. But with Norwich, it is going to be Hanley and Sorensen. So like you said, Jack, you hit the nail on the head. As idealistic fans, we do want a partnership that isn't that. But we've seen time and time again that managers love Sorensen. He is our Danish army knife, not our Swiss army knife, our Danish one. And I do have a scary feeling that against Oxford it will be them as the back two for some reason. So not exactly too positive for that back two pairing, but yeah, hopefully common sense will prevail, and he'll start two people who actually are centre backs at centre back.
Yeah, I think it's be Duffy and Sorensen actually. I think Duffy has looked good throughout pre-season. I don't think Forup is too keen on having both Hanley and Duffy in the team, and within reason, actually, I think, because I think you've got to have like an actual like ball progressive centre half. To be fair, I thought Sorensen last season when he played centre half was really good, especially in the home games. I thought he actually did really, really well. As I mentioned, centre back as well. I thought his passing was very, very good as well. So maybe that game was just like a bit of a brain fart for him, and he can just really come on and kick on. Yeah, but I would ideally I would want to start the season with Hills and Duffy as centre half, but I think it'd be Sorensen and Duffy.
Let's not forget that Kenny played a lot of games at centre back last season, so don't rule out a centre back partnership of Kenny and Sorensen. Oh my God, no! Oh, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. It'll be fine.
100 goals, 100 points is coming. No, it's not. Sorry. Next question.
Well, yes. No, we obviously touched on the St. Pauli game, and you touched on the forward positions, and all of the players were very appreciative of all the fans that rocked out to Carrow Road, apart from one guy who went straight down the tunnel and didn't want anything to do with Norwich or Carrow Road. Are you bored of us talking about Adamida? I don't care. We're gonna do it. Like, what's going on now? Like, what is this? He got fined for not flying with the team. He was late or something, and then seemingly he plays against St. Pauli briefly and then just storms off. It's just dragging on too much, isn't it? Like, imagine if he does start against Oxford. I mean, that is, as we speak, he might even be sold. Like, there might be a ping on our phones to say that a deal has been agreed right now as we're talking. But as it stands, he is still contracted to the club. Obviously, like you said, Sargent doesn't have a lot of minutes in pre-season. Is there a possibility that he starts against Oxford, or is that complete bananas?
I think possibility, but I don't think he will do. I think something that struck me with Adamida, it didn't surprise me when he put in a transfer request and tried to force through a move. I think that was expected due to how well he did at Celtic during his loan spell last season. However, what did surprise me, he's always come across as quite humble, especially to the Norwich City fans. So to see him walk down the tunnel after full time and not really be appreciative, especially in a game that doesn't mean anything in the grand scheme of things. Yeah, to do that in a friendly, it's completely baffling. And I think that will almost justify a lot of Norwich City fans' negative views on Adamida, and will just amplify the desire to see him sold. But if he does start and play well, then I'm all for it. But yeah, I think that was a poor mistake on his behalf. But I think the only time where that would have been acceptable is if a deal was imminent. So say if he was playing, but during the game, Norwich, agreed a fee with Celtic, and they were like, look, after the game, you need to travel down to Glasgow like ASAP. Then yes, I get that. And if that comes out, then yes, then that's fair enough. But otherwise, you can't be doing that in a pre-season friendly, can you?
No, I do have a bit of a worry that he might start with Ida on Saturday, and I don't know how well that would go down. In truth, I think there was a smattering of boos. I don't know. I could be wrong. When you came on, I think I saw it somewhere. Anyway, sorry if that is false and inaccurate, but I was a bit disappointed with Adamida, especially with all the nice words which Forup and Napa have been saying about him as well. So, look, it's clear he wants Celtic, and it's clear that I reckon some of his agents have had some say on what to do as well, which is a bit annoying. Or maybe it was a mistake. Who knows? I don't want to speculate on it too much, but I think it would be quite a statement and backing if Forup does start him against Oxford, especially when you kind of get the feeling that his head isn't with Norwich right now as well. He just doesn't feel right for him to start when he isn't actually fully with Norwich right now. So I don't know if that mindset can get swifted or swayed, but I just don't think the fans would appreciate that. So look, who knows? I do see it being Sargent. I think ideally he would have started with Ida because Ida had more minutes in pre-season, but I just can't see him starting Ida. I'm trying to just process through my head, and I just can't visualize it, I'm afraid, right now. So look, he might even go with something quite creative, and he might go for like Johnny Rose, a striker, and then maybe play Fassat on the right. Who knows? So very interested to see what he does. But I think he'll go Sargent, and he'll probably like play him, I reckon, for about 60 minutes, and then obviously I think he might even change the game. He might play Rove as a striker when Sargent comes off. We'll see. But yeah, it isn't really good up there right now in the striker department.
No, and I think it's really interesting how Sara's transfer went through pretty much over Friday night. That was, a matter of days, bing, bang, bomb, he's on the plane wearing the shirt and it's done. Whereas this seemingly, I feel like it's been rumbling on all summer. And it's fascinating to think, like, what is the stumbling block? Because it can't be personal terms or anything like that because he wants to go. Is it us holding it up and trying to bargain and trying to get a good fee? Everyone's always kind of said somewhere in the £8 to £6 million mark is probably, ideal, perfect, chef's kiss, ideal. If it then gets to a point where he is desperate to go and is doing everything that he can, what would be the absolute minimum fee that you would accept for Adam Ida?
Probably,
5.
yeah.
I think 5. Look, I think Norwich are playing by this absolutely superbly. Actually, there is no need for us to value him any lower because he signed a long-term contract. Sorry, I think last year anyway, or the season before. So there's absolutely no reason for Norwich to back down. I think they've dealt with this situation brilliantly. Obviously, he wants Celtic, and I just get a feeling that Celtic probably like don't value him at what Norwich are right now, which is probably obviously quite obvious as well. So very interested to see how that materializes. But I feel like as soon as deadline day comes along and it's like a fast approaching as well, I think Norwich will have to probably just sell and just make quite a poor return and back on of cash, because I feel like we could definitely probably get between £8 to £10 million in him, but it could be easily like half of that, I think.
I think for me, probably 6.5 million. I think that's probably fair for Adam Ida. But in terms of what's been the stumbling block, obviously all summer we've heard that Celtic are interested and he's really keen to go back to Celtic. But is it been just that? Like, has there actually been a concrete offer on the table from Celtic? Are they the ones who are stalling things because they're either unsure about the deal or genuinely they don't know what to bid in terms of the finances? Don't get me wrong, I think there will be a bid on the table from Celtic for Adam Ida before the end of the transfer window. But yeah, from what I've heard, that hasn't come yet. So I don't actually think it's Norwich that are stalling things. I think, if anything, it's Celtic, and they're really biding their time before they make a decision whether to make him a permanent Celtic player or not.
Let me throw a curveball in the mix for you both. Bear with me on this. Celtic, like you said, Henry, are waiting their time, and they're waiting too long. So the other club in Glasgow come knocking at the door, right? Swap deal, Ida, Cantwell. Wouldn't that happen? Wouldn't that be the most Norwich thing to happen?
It would, but that would be the most horrendous deal we'd have ever made. That would be honestly shocking. Like, Campbell was not the player he was in that 2021 season. I think that's self-inflicted. So, people would go on the Norwich fan forum on Facebook, go, yes, we need to do this. They've spent a lifetime playing FIFA and career mode with Norwich. Find all of our old players. Whereas in reality, I think everyone could tell you that would be an atrocious deal for the football club.
Oh yeah, let's just sign Redmond again and get Snodgrass out of retirement. And
I actually think to solve the left back problem, we should get in Martin Olsen
no.
and Garrido. Get both of them in.
Or go
Oh.
bolder and go all out to get Mark Tierney.
He must be in his 50s by now. I mean,
Experience is key. If you want to try and inherit a very youthful side, having a good, reliable, steady head, here's your man. So, Mark, if you're watching, please come back because you are fondly loved.
Yeah, just let's get the band back together. Get Grant, give him the number 9. Get Hux. I know Hux is in his 60s now, so but he's not in his 60s. That's not
And a sprinkling of a Gigi Afoe on the side.
Oh,
absolute baller.
Love him. Right. So, in terms of players leaving and not leaving, we touched on it a little bit earlier about Montoya going out on loan. I might have missed some transfers where we've loaned out some of our youth players. Obviously, William, you're Mr. Academy. Are there any stars from the academy that have maybe featured in pre-season that you think are either ripe for a place on the first team bench or ready for a loan in lieu of getting into the first team?
Right, good question. Yeah, I think there's been quite a lot of players that have impressed really. Even Uriah JJ's first game at Northampton, I thought that was really good, and I think that gave him confidence, and he'll probably start and for the under 21s this season and be a really key player for them. Gabe Forsyth, I think, has been the obvious one. The way he's always looking to play on the front foot is so exciting to watch. His left foot is ridiculous as well. I think we all saw it, didn't we, for that pass to Hernandez as well. So yeah, Forsyth has really, really impressed me, and I think he'll probably be integrated this year as an attacking midfielder for the under 21s as well, and not a left back, which is going to be very, very exciting to watch. So can't wait for that. I think how the club are going to progress with this is I think they're going to try and pinpoint maybe 3 players from the under 21s who are quite young. So I'm speaking Forsyth, Miles, and JJ perhaps. And I think what they're going to do is I reckon they'll probably include them on the first team bench on a few occasions as well as getting minutes with the under 21s as well. I think that's probably going to how they're going to pay it this year. And then that allows you to get Welsh, Aboa, Montoya, Tompkinson, Shipley, etc., out on loans to try and really, really forge a good career elsewhere. Really, obviously, I think obviously Ken Aboa, that saga rambled on for pretty much a whole year as well. So I think Norwich will want to try and get him a good loan club. I thought Aboa pre-season, although he scored, I feel like he would have been a bit disappointed with it actually a little bit because I feel like he's much better than what he showed at times. Especially technically as well. But look, he's still so young and the club knows potential, so that is exciting. I thought Freddie Welsh was great as well, and I was very surprised to not see him on the preseason tour. I know he only had like a few 20-minute cameos, but I thought during those cameos he was really good. Technical quality in front of third was really sound, as well as good tenacity out of possession, as well as driving forward with the ball as well. So I thought he was great. But I think one player who I think has gone very under the radar is Jayden Warner. Actually, I think Warner has had a really, really good pre-season. I don't know, maybe he might be viewed as a 4.5 next season. We'll wait and see. But I think Warner has actually been really, really, really good and composed on the ball. And he's looked really assured when it comes to defending in his own box as well, which I think at times has been a bit scrutinised. So very, very happy for him as well. But yeah, as I said earlier in a pod, I think in the next 2 weeks we're going to see a shed load of them go out on loan. Adam Yeager to Tony Springer, I reckon we'll probably see about 10 of them go out on loans in the coming days, really, because I just don't think for season as an option for now, unfortunately, which is a shame. But yeah, it really is, because I kind of feel like as this cycle evolves, it feels like anyway to me this year would have been the perfect chance to really embed them in. And even when Max Aarons and Jamal Lewis came through to the first team, they weren't seen as the finished products then. There was still so much room for development. And maybe I would have kind of liked to see a similar approach that big use this season actually, because I know he's gave the side and Miles some really good minutes as well. Even Elliot Miles, I think at times has been really good as well. So happy for him as well. But yeah, I think I would have just like fight to kind of give them a bit more opportunities. But that's my youth cap on right there. So yeah, I think they're doing the right thing. It's definitely beneficial for them to go out alone and just sit on the first team bench for 46 games a season. So I'm all happy for that, and I think they're going about it the right way.
Yeah, I think for Norwich there are a few youth players who are probably teetering on the edge of the first team squad, not necessarily the starting 11, but you're looking at players mainly Hills and Kennebo. For me, if we don't sell either for whatever reason and don't bring in another striker, then Kennebo stays and doesn't get that loan move. And it's the same with Brad Hills. If we decide that he is the fourth choice centre back, then he won't get a loan move. And to be honest, I think he should be, and I don't think he should be leaving anyway. But I think in terms of the three sort of youth centre backs that we've all been talking about this season, so Hills, Tomkinson, and Warner, I think one of them stays, one of them leaves permanently, and one of them goes out on loan. I think it's ironic because had you have asked me this time last year, I think everyone would have thought that Tomkinson would have been the one to progress and to be knocking on the door of the first team. Whereas now, out of those three players, I think he's the one who's more likely to get sold, to be honest. If he goes back down to a club of Bradford's ilk or like another League Two team on a permanent deal, then he can really develop his sort of craft there, because I can't really see a future for him at Norwich with, as I mentioned, the other like centre backs coming through. I think someone like Adebayor as well, like Will said, will just get loaned out. So yeah, I do think the amount of players departing will ramp up in the coming days and coming weeks. But yeah, it's just maybe Eboa and Hills that sort of I've highlighted as one of them will definitely stay. I think it probably will be Hills, to be honest, but Eboa for me needs to stay if we don't sign another striker.
I think the big moment for Tomkinson was, do you guys remember the Burnley away game in the 22-23 season?
Yes.
Yeah, and he played, I think, alongside Grant Hanley, and he started, and I thought he did actually really, really well. Then just the next game, Dean Smith just pushed him aside the next game and just thought, nah, I'm going to get back my experience, lad. So I felt that was his chance, and I felt really, really, really bad for him, actually, because I thought during that game he was excellent. So yeah, I think that was his moment for Norwich, and it just didn't quite work out. But I do think with Tomkinson as well, he's definitely got really, really good talent and potential as well. So I think he'll have a really good career at League One, maybe. But I also think it would shock me if we see him in a championship as well in the years to come.
Yeah. No, I remember that game. I seem to remember he made a crunching slide tackle right on the byline. I remember that moment, and it was a bit like when Bellingham shoulder barged Kostic in the Euros. That was like a he is him moment. Unfortunately, he wasn't him, and like you said, he didn't really play that much afterwards. But no, all very exciting for the season up ahead. Obviously, we're going to get on to some fun hot takes and some even longer takes this time. We'll get on to that. But before that, we do have to touch on really sad news that came out this week about Craig Shakespeare, who passed away age 60. Obviously, was assistant manager under Dean Smith. A very difficult time for the club, and obviously, at the time, the appointment of those two looked really good. Obviously, Craig Shakespeare, with his pedigree of being an assistant manager, to have technically won the Premier League. But yeah, I mean, fond memories from all the fans. He seemed like a great guy. What were your memories of Shaky?
I just think it was his whole ethos and attitude, to be fair. He didn't really do much when he was at the club, but like the way everyone involved at Norwich spoke about Craig Shakespeare, I think is a testament of his character and how much of a lovely guy he actually was. And you're seeing it now when the sad news of his passing was announced. The whole football world has just come together just to say, what a nice guy he actually was. So yeah, I think it was a sad day for football, losing such a nice and important figure like Craig Shakespeare.
I mean, obviously we weren't there every day to kind of experience him internally, but the man had some career, by the way, as well. Obviously, I think he managed Leicester in a quarter-final tie against Sevilla, I think it was. I could be wrong. But yeah, I mean, that's just an amazing experience in himself, and he's always so highly regarded in the game. So fair play for such a great career. And even the things we saw from James Maddison and Jack Grealish about his text messages to players as well, I thought that was so heartwarming to see as well. So what a guy, and rest in peace.
Yeah, what a great guy. Let's move on. Let's up the mood slightly. Before we go on to quick fire hot takes, I want some longer takes from you, which is very unusual for me. I obviously don't want your full predictions for the season up ahead, because we're going to get onto that. What I want from each of you is, I'd say, 3 hot takes from this season that you think will unfold. I'll start with you, Will. Let's come up with 3, not necessarily where we're going to finish, but performances or weird quirks that are going to happen.
Is this just for Norwich or Championship overall?
Let's say Norwich. Let's
Okay.
stick to that.
Really good question. I'm going to try and inherit a youth one because of course I would. Okay. I don't like putting too much pressure on these young players, because I don't want to kind of them to kind of experience so much like so much love and so much hate at the same time, and all that kind of stuff around it. But if I could say one thing, I'm going to say that Gabe Forsyth, I think he could be in the first team. Okay, this is going to be brilliant. Okay, yeah, I'm going to commit to it. Gabe Forsyth, by the end of the season, will have played 5 league games for the club, and he would have scored his first goal for Norwich. That is one of them. 3, yeah?
Yeah, 3.
3, okay. I don't think also this season, I don't think we'll have a real like out and out top goal scorer. I think our top goal scorer will probably be someone with like 8 or 9 goals, and it'll just be like scattered around the pitch. So I could probably see Borja Signs, obviously Rowe if he stays as well, Sargent obviously. But the reason why I say that is because I'm not too sure if Sargent actually plays much this season because of this like injury issue. So who knows? Yes, that is my other. Yeah, that's my second take, and my third take, I'm going to go out on a limb and go for my player of the season. Because why not? You've got to end it on a player of the season, and my player of the season is. I'm going to go for Borja Signs. I think he's going to tear it up this year. I've been so impressed with him pre-season. He's looked so sharp, hungry, and I think he's going to do it. That was tough, and that was all on the spot as well. So I'm happy with that.
Henry.
Yeah, so mine's sort of similar to Will's in a way. I think one of the hot takes is by the final game of the season, we'd have someone who's probably in the youth team now or on the fringes of the first team being nailed on starter, and who everyone wants to start week in, week out. Not going to commit to who that would be, but yeah, we'll definitely have one of the group for the youth team who will be a regular starter by April, I'd say. So that's number one. My second one is that Norwich City women will probably go the whole season unbeaten. They didn't do it last season. They lost on the final game of the season.
It's one game, yeah.
I think that they actually will probably go the whole season unbeaten and win the league this season, because a league where only one team goes up and there are no playoffs is unforgiving. And Norwich know that now, and Norwich know that they need to be the best they can be across every single game to get the job done, and I think they'll do that. I think they're the most feared team in the league. They're the best team in the league, with probably the best manager in terms of pedigree in the league. And I think they'll do that. I think they'll go the whole season unbeaten. So an invincible Norwich City is my second hot take. And I think my third hot take is that we won't finish in the playoffs. I think we'll play good football, and I think a lot of Norwich fans will be happy with Johannes Hoftorp. But I don't think we'll finish in the playoffs.
Interesting. I will. I'll go a slightly different route with my hot takes. I think at some point during the season, one of our players will be embroiled in a PR disaster. I don't know what this PR disaster will be. I don't know which player it will be, but we had a weird season last season where there was PR disaster after disaster after disaster. So it's only bound that it's going to happen again. I don't know if that's much of a hot take, but maybe think about who those players could be and what those disasters could be as well. What was my other one? I can't remember. Oh no. I predict that one of our star players that isn't sold in the summer will be sold in January. I think if a player has a really good start, like Sargent goes in and scores 14 before Christmas, the likes of someone like a Bournemouth or a Brighton are going to come and grab him. That's a really kind of obscure hot take, but then again, I can definitely see that happening. That is definitely so Norwich. I'm going to say my player of the season. I'm going to get pelters for this because I'm usually the one that bookmarks everyone's ridiculous predictions. If I say signs as well, that'd be quite boring. So I'm going to mix it up. I was going to say Sargent, but then that contradicts my previous one. I'm going to say Kamara. I'm going to put my neck on the line and say Kamara player of the season.
I guess another hot take that I've literally just thought of. I think combined between Gunn, Hanley, Duffy, and Cordoba, they'll at least combined get probably 7 or 8 assists.
Oh, okay.
Just a random one that popped into my head, but I can see that happening.
Okay. All right. Well, it's weird having 3 of us and quickfire hot takes because usually you were without me. So now it's just you two. I did only do 5 again this week because I need to save them and I need juicy content. Where is it? Oh my God, where have I put it? It'll be in my notes somewhere. Bear with me. Talk amongst yourselves. Talk about who's going to get all the assists. Oh no, here it is. Haha. Okay. All right. To start off with, remember, quickfire. Right. Favorite ever chant?
A fox and a horse.
Gary O'Neill chant.
That's a really good one.
Worst weather conditions you've ever experienced at any ground, whether it be Carrow Road or away?
I think Burnley away, it was absolutely tipping it down. It was freezing. It's got to be Burnley away. And funnily enough, get my words out. I got interviewed by Radio Norfolk that day as well. So that was a very lovely experience. But Burnley away, 0-0 in the Premier League season. It was tipping it down.
Oh, yes, I remember that.
Mine was Aston Villa away in the Championship when they had Steve Bruce as manager. It was honestly the clearest skies known to mankind. The day was beautiful, but it would not stop raining throughout the whole game. It was really bizarre, but obviously Norwich City lost that game. But in terms of the weirdest weather conditions, I'd say that for sure.
Prime Zimmerman or Prime Bassong?
Zimbo.
Prime Zimmerman, actually.
Ooh, okay. Which transfer had you eat the most humble pie? As in, which transfer were you most wrong about?
Ooh, it's going to be Rashika.
I'd even say Huang Yu-Zhou. I think when we first signed him, I thought he'd won a competition to play football, but by the time he actually left, I think Van Hooijdonk replacing him was quite a significant downgrade.
Yeah. And finally, which loan to buy should we never have made permanent? That's a very obscure one, but bear with me.
Which loads? Oh. Can Henry go first for this one?
I'm really struggling on this one as well.
Which
really
load? Oh, Harrison Reed.
No, we didn't make him permanent. As in, which loan?
Right. Okay.
So permanent should we never have made permanent?
Oh, sorry. Okay, my bad. Oh, I can't think of many two major ones, but I was never a fan of Dimi Giannoulis. That's a bit controversial, isn't it? Yeah, I'm gonna go Dimi Giannoulis. I'll lock it in.
I don't really know. I think my mind's gone blank here, to be honest with you. I can't remember many players who have been on loan and then we've bought, other than Giannoulis. But I actually did rate Giannoulis, not maybe as highly as others, but I did rate him. So I don't know. I might abstain from answering that one because my head's just
one. I had one up my sleeve. Matt Jarvis.
Ooh.
Yes, Matt Jarvis, of course.
We really should not have loaned him in to replace Bradley Johnson and then sign him for £2.5 million when, unfortunately, his knees didn't work. But he scored that goal against Bournemouth that was somewhat good.
You know what I've just realised?
Go on.
I've also misunderstood your humble pie question as well. I thought it was supposed to be the player that you thought you had so much expectation about, but was just crap.
Unfortunately, it was the other way around. But
it was the other way around, wasn't it? Yeah. And guess what? I can't think of a player.
What about someone who we signed on a free to be deputy to Jordan Rhodes, formerly played for Brøndby, and when we signed him, no one really. Oh yes,
that guy. Yeah, he wasn't too bad, was he? Yeah, Timo Pukki. Oh, let's lock in Timo Pukki.
Yeah. He was the one that I had. Henry, if you want to now answer that question in terms of the other way, the transfer that you thought was going to be awful and was actually really good.
I mean, I sort of still stand by it. I sort of answered that correctly, I think. I thought Huang Yu-Zhou would be awful, and actually I quite liked him towards the end of his spell. Like, I think as a second choice striker, he was decent. I think there were a few games, Watford away especially, where he was really good and really did help the cause. So yeah, I'd still lock that one in, I think.
Okay, I disagree completely. Well, that's everything for this week. Obviously, next week we're going to have a game to analyse. Oh, how exciting! But yeah, keep an eye out on the YouTube channel because midweek we might have another video lined up. Another video where we might be wearing exactly the same outfits, but don't be reading too much into that. But thank you for listening as always. Like and subscribe as always. I've been Jack Wright. I've been with Henry Miller, Will Grant. This has been the My Football Writer podcast, and we'll see you next week.